Patrick DeMoss here with BrooklynFights. I am with PFL's lightweight contender, Chris Wade. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So, you're fighting here in about, 2 weeks now? You're fighting August 2nd. Turning around here from just a little over a month. I'm curious, how's training camp been since, you just fought a little over a month ago? Are you more, trying to rest and recover, or are you just getting right back in the gym after your fight?
Well, I would say that the training camp is kind of a combination of the two things that you just mentioned. The initial phase of it coming back home was about a week of rest just to relax, ice down those bumps and bruises, just mentally kind of clear my head from the last bout. And then after about a week, it was right back into the gym, hitting it hard. We felt that, at least I felt that it was my cardio that kind of failed me in my last bout. I think that I slept on my opponent way too much. And so my emphasis for this camp has been trying to right that ship and get my cardio where it needs to be to push hard for 15 minutes.
And you mentioned, you're mentally recovered, it took about a week off from your last fight, which obviously, didn't end up going your way, but it went the full distance. Heading into this next fight with the point system, do you feel any sense of urgency heading into the fight, or are you just focused purely on what you have to do to get the win?
You're talking about a sense of urgency just in a bonus regard, or
in a point standpoint?
In a point standpoint?
Yeah.
Well, I don't, because if you look at the lightweight division especially, you have 7 guys that didn't score points because you had one person who didn't make weight, and you have 5 people that did score points. So there's 3 people with no score that are listed in the tournament as of right now. So I'm not going to put too much pressure on a bonus right this second. And I'd like to see the matchups that start to come out and get released. Once I have those, I can kind of in my head look at certain scenarios that could go down and then determine whether or not I think I need to really push for the finish.
So did you find it harder in this training camp? Do you find it harder to recover mentally, just a month later, or do you find it harder physically to recover?
I think physically, just because of the bout that I just had with my last opponent was, if you saw the bout, I'm not sure, but we really kind of tore into each other. I threw more than I ever threw, kicked basically more than I've ever kicked, and probably got hit more than I ever got hit. So just icing everything down and relaxing on the physical aspect was probably harder than the mental. For me, I've been doing one-on-one sports my whole life, so it's a little easier for me to make a mental recovery and get over it.
Yeah, I talked to Eddie Gordon before his bout, and he talked about how his wrestling career also he thinks helped him prepare for something like the PFL, where it's a tournament style, and you're competing constantly throughout the year. So do you find that wrestling has helped you as well?
Oh yeah, tremendously. I mean, I feel that I'm fully bounced back and a better fighter already after that bout, and I wouldn't want to have it any other way than to be competing again in a couple of weeks. I mean, who wants to dwell on a loss and to wonder when they might choose you again because you lost? That's part of the sport that I think is bogus and doesn't let people showcase what they really have. I think this format with the PFL is something that you're going to see more fighters gravitate toward, because you want to right the ship. You want to get back in the cage and right that wrong. You don't want to wait around and rot and let it sit in your head mentally. So this is a huge benefit, and wrestling is exactly that, and it's going to benefit us for sure.
He talked about the recovery process, that it's easier to hop right back in because you want to avenge that loss. We can see in other promotions like the UFC, where fighters take a loss, but sometimes it takes 4, 5, 6 months for them to get back in the cage, and that's not even their fault. It's trying to actually find a matchup for themselves. So you're saying that the turnaround is more in your favor because you want to avenge that loss as quick as you can and get it off your head.
I think absolutely. Barring anyone obviously being like really injured in a bout where you need a long time to recover, and God forbid they had to have something done or a cast or something, then yeah, you're going to be in a tough spot with a quick turnaround. But when you're relatively healthy and you just had like a really good scrap, but it didn't go your way, you want to get back in there. You're back in the gym after a week and you're sparring. So why wouldn't you want to get back in there and win and get paid?
Yeah. With that loss aside, though, you're headed into your hometown. Not sure that has to feel good.
Oh, it feels amazing. I love fighting at home. I love being on Long Island. So this is you can't chalk it up any better. I need a good performance. I need a dominant performance, and I'm at home. I'm with my people. I'm in my element, and I'm confident that those things are going to happen for me.
With those things you just said. So I'm assuming that, having that hometown crowd behind you, that it's going to, not really put pressure on you, rather, but it's going to help you get motivated every day in the gym, and just motivate you more on fight night.
Oh, yeah, I'm motivated because, like I said to you, if you watch the fight, I thought I won the first round of my fight, and then I faded. And second round I lost, but a little closer. And then the third round I just didn't have the gas in the tank to keep putting it on the kid, and he kept coming forward and putting pressure on me. So you go back in the gym and you torture yourself for 6 weeks, make yourself feel like you're going to puke for 5 of those weeks, and then on fight night you're going to have a good result.
So your opponent, sorry if I pronounced this wrong, Yuki Khanna,
Yep.
I heard, do you have any personal relationship with him? Have you known him in the past before, or?
No.
Okay. And what are your thoughts on that matchup?
Why is that?
Oh, I just got word that you had known him before. I don't know. That probably was misled or something. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Wasn't directly, but was just curious about that.
I'm not sure who he is. If I did run into him and I don't, then sorry.
Oh, no big deal. So what are your thoughts on that matchup? Have you watched any film on him, or are you just kind of guy that just hops in there, and is ready to go?
Yeah, I mean, I watched. We broke down his last fight, and he's definitely a goer. He's similar in my mind to the guy I just fought, where maybe not so much on the throws and the foot sweeps and whatnot, but he definitely likes to come forward. He likes to swing in a loopy manner, overhands, uppercuts. He likes to use his right hand a lot, and he seems to be content to kind of push you to the cage and then slowly work for that takedown, grind you down from there. So, we're going to be ready for those things. We're breaking them down for sure. My last fight, I didn't even barely watch the guy, to tell you the truth, until like the night before my fight, and I don't think that helped me very much because I didn't know his tendencies. So we're going to change that up and study this time.
So was it just, confidence in the gym that, kind of led to you not really particularly wanting to watch film on your last opponent, or, was it just a tactical error, or?
What happened was, I watched some of his YouTube fights early on that were like way back, and my coach did, and, he just, I don't know, I slept on him a little bit. I was told how great of a matchup it was, and I just got a little cocky, and I got caught slipping.
Mm-hmm. And you're coming from the UFC a few years ago. How does the PFL compare in terms of your relationship and how it's structured out compared to that to the UFC?
Oh, the relationship I think is much better. I think that PFL takes care of their guys in just look at the format that they have set up for us. This is all for us. There's an opportunity for money that doesn't exist in the other organization unless they're using you. Conor McGregor might make $10 million or $20 million on a fight, but you better believe that the UFC is making triple that, and that's the only reason that they're using him and promoting him. Ronda Rousey may have made, $5-10 million on a fight, but the only reason that she's making that is because they're making double, triple again. They're using people, I think the PFL has set a format forth, and they set an allotment of money out there for us to go out and get. And I think that's the fair way to do it, is with a playoff system, and the best man wins, not the political bullshit that goes on, where, if you rub elbows with Dana and you tell him what he wants to hear, he'll hook you up.
Yeah, 100%. And, me personally, I the whole, talking your way to a title shot now is just kind of run the system a little bit. Rankings really don't mean anything in the UFC. You have Brock Lesnar now.
Isn't it beating a dead horse at this point, how much they're willing to abuse that and let someone just jump the line for their own financial gain?
Absolutely.
I mean, they think they're hurting their product, but it's disgusting what you watch. You got Stipe, who did everything right, class act, fireman, just model for what you would want to see from a fighter. As soon as he slips a second, they take the WWE monster in there and they just shove him in to try to make a payday. Mm-hmm. Where's the guy's rematch? How many times did he defend his belt? This is a slap in the face to these people, and they don't care. So, I mean, the system you're going to see, watch, as the seasons pass with this format in the PFL, you're going to see people who say, you know what, I don't want to deal with the BS anymore, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to get what's mine. I'm going to take it.
Yeah, with the PFL, there is none of that, real politics. If you win, you win. You continue on, get enough points, and then there's $1 million cash prize at the end. Do you see yourself competing with the PFL for at least a few seasons?
Oh, absolutely. I think my body's relatively healthy, considering how long I've been in one-on-one sports. I feel young. I still have a passion for this, and I really believe in the PFL's model, and I think that this was something that was kind of meant to be, because if you look back at my track record, I've always been outspoken to a fault about how we're mistreated as fighters, especially with what the UFC had done. So this is something that I never thought would come to fruition, and it has. And, I'm just really glad to be a pioneer in it as far as the fighting goes. And hopefully I can have a long relationship with the PFL, and it'll be a great one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, you're only, I think 30 years old, I believe?
Yeah, 30.
Yeah, 30, 16 fights. You certainly have a long way to go in your career in terms of, how many other fighters have competed for quite some time. So again, the hometown crowd feeling real quick. Have you ever fought in Long Island or New York before?
Yeah, I fought on the last UFC last July on Long Island in Nassau Coliseum, and I won.
Oh, Wyman and Gastelum, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
I was looking forward.
Yep. So coming off a win from the UFC, what was the decision? You're in the win column in the UFC. What was the big decision to hop over to the PFL?
I mean, they let me fight my contract out because. Yeah. We don't have to really speculate. It's what have you done for me lately? How many social media followers do you have? How many asses do we think you're going to put in the seats? And their mindset seems to be, hey, why are we going to pay you $50,000 to fight when we could pay some kid that we're feeding a pipe dream to $8,000 to fight? So you're in the lightweight division, and we'll get to you when we get to you. And after the win, you get told that they're going to work something out, and we'll see. And then I started waiting, and a few months were passing. I won, so I wanted to compete again. And they didn't really want to push to get anything done and get me a matchup. And do you live in the area? Do you live in New York?
I'm actually from Indiana.
Oh, okay. So, sorry about that. I saw BrooklynFights, and I just got thrown off.
No, it's okay. I work for them.
And so the cost of living over here is crazy, man. I own a house. I have a child, and a few months had passed, and I was saying to my manager, like, this is what I do for a living. We got to make some money. And I was in a holding pattern with them, it seemed, where they didn't want to pull the trigger on anything and get me a matchup. And he wanted me to wait, but I wanted to get other offers, and I did. And then my window had passed where I had to get their permission, and I just went right for it. I didn't even look back and say, like, hey, I want to talk to Dana, or I want to talk to, Sean. I could get a sense of what the sentiment was there. There wasn't any, we really want to have you, Chris. They don't care. So I was ready to move forward and get in under this format.
So with the PFL, you kind of feel that one-on-one relationship, with the company that, you actually feel like you're cared about and taken care of, both financially and, getting fights set up.
Yeah, I just really think that obviously they're new in it. They've put on, this will be the 4th show tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the UFC is in their 200th and something pay-per-view alone, let alone fight nights. So imagine where the PFL will be at just PFL 100. It's only going to get better and better and better and more smooth. And the format and the commitment they've already made to the fighters is already above and beyond what we've ever seen before. So I feel like the sky's the limit with how this can change the game.
Yeah, and I'm not for sure if you're quite aware of this, but the PFL actually has brought in a lot better numbers usually than like a typical UFC fight night would on Fox. I think the first PFL was around 400-something thousand viewers, which is quite a bit. A lot of fight nights nowadays are lacking in viewers. Some have fallen even to like the 100,000s at some point.
Well, it's a watered down product now. They put shows on every single week. I'm a fighter that loves fighting and is passionate about fighting, and half the time I don't even know what the hell's going on. So I'm not surprised by that, because I can tell you from experience, it just happened to me. There is no drop off in talent and fightability when you're talking about the PFL compared to where people put on a pedestal with the UFC at all. Every single guy is a monster, and they're hungry, They're really, really hungry. There's money on the line right now. It's not just, a matchup and we'll see where it goes. This is like, there's a bag of money behind that guy. Go and get it. They're creating that urgency in the bouts, and so I'm not surprised that people are tuning in, because look at the bouts that have been put on. They've been really, really entertaining. All the cards.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the first one in the city, and people were dropping each other left and right. I mean, it's a bunch of hungry, tough guys out there, and the only difference is that people see is that there's not quite yet that mainstream push of the household name yet, because it's so fresh. But that will come. That will come in time.
And let's say, the season wraps up at the end of December. After the first season, do you think maybe after 2 or even after the first season that PFL kind of starts to take over Bellator as, the second biggest promotion in MMA?
I can see that happening very quickly, because I don't see, not to knock them, I don't know that much about their business plan, but I don't see much from Bellator outside of when you turn on the channel that they broadcast on to promote the events that are upcoming. And I think it's hard for people to get to and to access. So, I mean, I could see it happening. I'm not going to say in just one season, but because I have respect for the time people put into things, but I could see definitely over a short period of time, relatively, them definitely taking the next spot in the line.
And final question here for you, Chris. Like I said, the season wraps up in December. In terms of longevity, how many fights you have left to finish out the season. Best case scenario. Are you preparing? Like, are you taking care of your body during training camp and kind of being conservative to go that long distance, or are you just taking it fight by fight right now?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing a lot of low impact training that's focused on getting my heart rate up and things that aren't going to leave me really banged up from a training camp, because the sport's evolving. You have to be smart. This is a very, very physical contact sport, and the way that people have trained for a long time, you're going to see as time passes, it's not the most beneficial for our bodies to be, for me and Bermudez and LaFleur, to be crushing each other twice a week to get ready for a fight. People are getting smarter. Fighters are getting smarter. They're finding ways to get ready that are lighter, that don't hurt themselves. So I think that this system is going to almost cause me to develop that format. One season in is hard to say exactly how it's going to change everything for the future, but I think if it goes well, I'm going to use that blueprint here on moving forward for sure.
Great. And just to wrap things up, so let's say, once this season finishes off, are you going to kind of have your own little, off season, take a few months, maybe even more, to recover after the long season and everything? Or are you going to still continue to train, just a few weeks after your last fight?
Well, I could see it will depend how the season wraps up, obviously. The deeper run I make in the tournament probably will dictate the more lavish vacation that I might send myself on immediately following. But as soon as I wrap up, going away for a little bit, because the weather, how it gets in the winter by you and by me, not so hot.
Yeah.
It's nice to get away for a little bit. And then when I come back, I can't stay out of the gym. For me, I itch, and it does nothing for me to just mill around and not be there on the mats. So I'll just be looking to improve and prepare for the next season.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate your time, Chris, and I hope to see you perform well. Again, he's fighting August 2nd in Long Island on PFL 5. Again, thank you for your time, Chris.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
No problem. Have a good day.
All right. You too.